Hey, I wanted to talk about gratitudes. I said I'd make a video about kind of exactly how I do my gratitudes every day. So I was just about to head off to bed and it's really late and I'm using my tablet to upload a video at the moment. So I thought I'll use my mobile and just make a little video just late at night about gratitudes. And it's really good because training your brain to come up with gratitudes, especially at times when you're struggling or if you've had a really hard day, it's just an amazing thing to do, because the lesson it teaches you is that no matter what bad things happen in the day. I mean, it's all objective anyway. I mean, we can think something's really bad at the time and then we can look back on it a year later and think, oh, actually that was a really necessary thing, or that turned out to be a good thing because it led me to something better. But what I mean is, when you have times that are tough, it's easy to focus on those tough things. So it's easy to have, if you haven't trained your brain to look for positives and look for gratitudes and to look at the achievements and the little achievements or the big achievements that you've done that day, if you don't, before you've trained your brain to do that, it's very easy to just focus on the negative and to say, oh, I've had a really awful day, I've had a rubbish day, life is hard. And then you kind of censor out the good stuff. So if you don't train your brain to focus on these little tiny positive things, even on difficult days, then what happens is that you get to the end of the day and you're telling yourself you've had a bad day, and then that's your truth, that's your life, that you've had a bad day, you've had a bad week, you've had several bad days in a row, and you're kind of flushing out all the really amazing stuff and you're forgetting stuff, and you're kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You're kind of filtering out any good stuff. So, there's evidence that with a positive person, their brain will naturally look for positive truths that are out there. So if you're a positive person, you believe a certain thing, your brain will automatically search for evidence of that truth. So if you believe that the world is a good place and a happy place, and that good things will happen and that life is nice and life is fun, your brain will look for opportunities to make that true. Your brain will notice posters, your brain will notice adverts that say, come and do this fun thing. I'm generally a positive person and I want to have fun, and that's kind of the crux of who I am. So my brain will pick out the fun things. My brain will see adverts on Facebook or see things online or see posters, or I'll get friends messaging me and saying, oh, do you fancy doing this, do you fancy doing that? And then if you're, say, a negative paranoid person, for example, your brain is going to automatically pick out evidence and look for evidence of awful things in the world and things to be paranoid about and things to be scared of and things to be negative of. So there's a name for it, and I can't remember the name. There's a word, a scientific word for it. But basically what you want to do is you want to train your brain to start looking out for the positives, because what the amazing thing that happens is, and I started doing this maybe 2 years ago, maybe a bit longer, but I would say my brain has started to now automatically do it over the last year, and I'm amazed. So in the beginning it was something I had to consciously do. I had to, I'd have a really tough day and I'd have to sit down with a bit of paper and kind of struggle and think, oh, what's happened today that was good? I can't think of anything that was positive. And I would struggle to write down one or two things. And what I noticed over time, if I kept doing it as a habit, say every other day, I found that I'd write down 2 things or 3 things. So I'd maybe start with 3 things and think, right, what 3 things happened today that were positive, however tiny? And then once I'd written down 3, generally my brain would find it easier to then think of more. And what happens now is, all I have to do is kind of almost just have an awareness and just think, okay, what are the positives of today? And my brain will automatically pick out. So I'll kind of go through the day in my head and think, okay, So I got up, and then that happened, and this happened, and oh yeah, that thing happened, and then so my brain will start telling me the positives because I've trained it. So it's a really amazing thing to do. So, for example, to give you an example, today I have had a tough day. I had a really kind of down day, and I don't know why, and it could be the full moon. I've had a few friends that said they'd felt inexplicably low or very despondent the last couple of days. And it's just one of those things. And, it could be hormones, it could be, the full moon, it could just be, what's happening in my brain at the moment, what's happening in my body. And I know that I always have an element of control over what's happening, but with a day like today, I know it's been a tough day. It's been very tough, and I've had a lot of tears and stuff like that. So what I did was I kind of had a day where I looked after myself, and I listened to my body and my brain and thought, right, what do I need today? So I did, a couple of tasks that I needed to do. I kind of geared my day towards making myself feel better, and I got a couple of productive things done which I knew would make me feel better, because I knew that I'd feel worse if I had a day where I just stayed at home and just watched Netflix and didn't do anything. So at the end of the day, I sat and did my gratitudes, and I put them on Facebook, and I was surprised that there were so many gratitudes and achievements, even on a day where I've overall felt low and had a lot of tears and really struggled and felt anxious about lots of things. And I've just had to sort of accept that, okay, this is what my brain's doing today. This is what my brain's doing. My brain is kind of playing around with anxiety, and I've just got to accept it and accept that it will pass, and accept the feelings, and don't let them govern any bad actions, or, don't let them kind of steer the ship, as it were. So, you can be in an anxious mood, and so that can make you think anxious thoughts, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the anxious thoughts really hold up, that they're actually anything to worry about just because you're having anxious thoughts. I know that I won't be as anxious about those things tomorrow or the day after, so they're not real things. That they are kind of real things, but they're things that I'm taking action on, and they're just things, we can all find things to worry about if we try hard enough. So I just wanted to leave you with these couple of quotes, if I can remember them. Martha Beck says that, she's amazing, I love her. She says that if you can learn to shine a light in the darkest moments, that's a really amazing skill to have. So even in your darkest moments, try shining a light and finding the positive. And Coach Tony Robbins says a very similar thing. He says, okay, even in the worst moments, during the worst stresses, ask yourself, what could possibly be positive about this situation? And he says, if you can't think of anything, then you ask yourself, okay, if I had to think of one thing, however ridiculous, something positive that could come out of this really awful situation, just one thing, what would that thing be? And it just starts to train your brain to find a positive, no matter how ludicrous, no matter how much you might not be feeling it in that moment, it's still a positive. It's still training your brain to kind of switch things around a bit. So, for example, some of my positives today, even on a very difficult day, were I discovered 2 new Netflix series that I really, really love, and I'm really getting into them. One of them is called The Client List, with I've forgotten her name, really pretty girl, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I think she's the producer on the show, or co-producer. But I really got into that. I'm sort of 5 episodes in, really enjoying it. And then there's another really wacky series on Netflix called Haters Back Off, or Back Off Haters, and it's just absolutely nuts. And it's about this really mad girl. It's this mad American dysfunctional family, and this nuts. She's kind of this appalling narcissistic character, and she makes YouTube videos and she sings, but she's just like really bad. She's embarrassing, and she's self-obsessed, and she's arrogant. and she just ruins everything. But she, at her heart, she's kind of like a little child, and she just wants to be famous, and she wants everyone to love her. And it was just so wacky, and I've got stuck into that as well. So that was two positives, because I don't usually watch Netflix series. It takes a lot for me to commit to a series. I like to watch films or comedies. So I discovered two series which were great. And then I had a consulting appointment. I made some money, and then I went and did some shopping quite late at night, and it just got me out the house, and it was a nice walk. And it was a beautiful evening, so lots of positives came out of that walk. So I went and got my big, my list of shopping, my stuff that I really needed, that I was running out of, or that I had run out of, like toilet roll, which isn't good. And it was like a really mild evening, so I just went out in my, jumper and jeans, and it's a 10-minute walk down the road and across the canal, and it was such a beautiful evening, and I saw bats flying, which was really cool. And it just kind of cleared my head a bit, and the walk did me good. So really simple little positives, guys. I've had a few people message me and say that when they've got more to be grateful for, they'll start doing gratitudes. And I've said, no, start it now. Start it now, because you need those gratitudes in the hardest times, and you need them to be the tiny things, and there's no point waiting for it to be perfect before you start doing gratitudes, because it will never be perfect. So you train yourself now with exactly who you are now, what you're going through now, how your life is now, and you find the gratitudes now, today, in this moment, and you just keep doing it every day if you can, every other day. Put them out there, put your gratitudes on, social media, put them on YouTube, whatever. In fact, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment with your gratitudes for the day, and it can just be the tiniest things. And the thing is that no two people's gratitudes will be the same. And your gratitudes might seem really silly, but it doesn't matter, because it's personal to you. I've had days that were really, really hard where, I struggled to get out of bed, or I struggled to get going. I had really absolutely crippling exhaustion. And even just getting up and getting dressed and picking my daughter up from school and having some food and having a drink and just getting through the day were massive, massive achievements. So you don't have to be climbing Everest or doing anything massively ambitious, but you just want to be taking little steps. For me, doing a video is an achievement. It's a gratitude, having the opportunity to do it. Having ideas, creative ideas for videos are gratitudes. Seeing a beautiful sunset, seeing birds in the garden, having time with my daughter, seeing a friend, having a friend reach out to me, or being able to reach out to a friend and they're there for me. That's something to be grateful for. Any achievements, anything you've managed to figure out, any lessons you've learned, that's all achievements. It's all gratitudes. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. And like I said, leave in the comments box. Let me know things that you're grateful for today, right now, in this minute. Let me know. And I will catch you soon in another video. I hope this video's helped and added value. If it has, please like, please subscribe, please share with your friends. I will catch you very soon.